and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Darryl Grove, and I'm joined by a man who always turns his phone off before we start recording. At second time of asking, It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. I never turn it off. I mute it.
Okay.
Theoretically, until it makes noise during recording.
Yeah, but we're good now, right? We're good. We're soundproof in the studio.
It is worth noting that I think the only time it's gone off in the last three times that it's gone off, every single time was when I was recording from home and it wasn't with you. And I do feel like maybe that's not a coincidence.
Should I just come around and remind you when I'm not recording with you?
I should just print out a poster of Darryl Grove, pointing a finger. I want you to turn off your phone.
All right, so Taylor, we're here today.
T-shirt idea?
To do possibly to do our weekend review. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It has become a Total Soccer Show tradition, and I love it because we can hit a lot of stuff. We'll start with the Premier League, and we'll expand from there.
I'll go with it.
You'll go with it.
In the sense that we've been doing that since the start of the season, and it's worked. So
inspired by Romelu Lukaku, right? Because we saw him playing for Man United, giving the thumbs up to teammates for passes. He never actually gave any thumbs down to anyone, but I guess you've got to go with the opposite.
Yeah, he's not a Roman emperor.
Actually, wasn't that a weird thing where it was thumbs
flipped.
up?
Yeah, thumbs up, go ahead and kill him. Thumbs down, let him live, I think it was.
Yeah, all right, but let's not get sidetracked.
Yeah, sure.
My fault, I apologise. Let's start in the Premier League. Where do you want to start with your thumbs up, thumbs down?
Can I just clarify really quickly that we know that common consensus is that it's thumbs down, kill him, but what we're saying is that I think new evidence suggests that it was actually thumbs up. Just saying. Because I just first saw a wave of tweets being like, you guys are stupid. Remember Gladiator?
The documentary?
Yes.
Right, let's get to the Premier League.
Best documentary ever.
Who's your first thumbs up or thumbs down in the Premier League?
I'm going to go to Man City. And I'm going to say thumbs up to Kevin de Bruyne.
Okay.
Because I feel like with all of the stars they have and all the signings they've made, we kind of forget that, that guy's there. He's
really,
real good.
Yeah.
David Silva would be one of those. Kevin de Bruyne is the other.
So we're saying Man City beat Liverpool 5-0. There's the Sadio Mane red card, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point. Yeah. But it was a good performance from Manchester City.
Yes, it was.
Tell me all about KDB.
Okay, so, they were up 1-0 before that red card, they beat Man City, and it comes about, it's a great finish by Sergio Aguero, don't get me wrong, but it's basically Man City winning, I think a goal kick long, they head it back in. Kevin De Bruyne has one touch to settle, and he drops it dead right between his feet, so he has no business playing the second ball he plays, which is just a one-touch pass, perfect through ball, right into the path of Sergio Aguero. But he did that so many times. He had the assist for a disallowed goal, he had the assist for Gabriel Jesus' first, which was City's second.
So a disallowed assist?
Yes, as well. But then he had the MLS assist for Mane's fourth goal, for the fourth goal from Mane. He was all over the place.
Mane got no goals.
Sorry. But he was just all over the place in terms of how, passing ball here, passing ball there, crossing a ball from there, crossing a ball from the other side. It was a comprehensive performance from Kevin De Bruyne.
So I also have a Kevin De Bruyne thumbs up, thumbs down. I have thumbs up to Kevin De Bruyne and Fernandinho for being the calm in the storm in Manchester City's midfield, specifically on that Sergio Aguero goal. I think it's Liverpool trying to clear it. I think Henderson ends up Henderson normally makes very good decisions on the ball, but he kind of panic heads this back into midfield. It comes back. It's Fernandinho muscles Giorgio Wijnaldum, and a lot of players, once they've won that muscly battle, they just head it forward and hope something happens, right? He glances it. He does that little side glance header to Kevin De Bruyne, who then does exactly what you said, which is touch and turn at the same time.
Yeah.
Through ball to Sergio Aguero.
2 touches.
Amazing stuff. Especially when you get heavy metal football coming at you, the best thing you can do is, when all about you are losing their heads, keep yours and what the world is yours.
And I'm assuming you're
That's a very bad retelling of Rudyard Kipling's poem.
You did your best. And I'm assuming when you're referring to heavy metal football, you're referring to Liverpool usually, right?
Yes.
Because I'm going to say thumbs down to Liverpool for stealing the USA's press but stand around approach.
Right.
Because it looked very familiar to the United States.
So it's worth talking about the Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola sort of long-running battle they had in the Bundesliga with Dortmund and Bayern. And Klopp kind of got the better of Guardiola. And I really feel like we're in a chess many times. 5 out of 10, I think he won. There's kind of a chess match between these guys in terms of how they counter each other's styles. And it looked to me like Klopp went to Man City and was like, okay, we're not going to go all-out press. We're going to try and sit off a little bit, and I don't think it worked.
No, because what kept happening, and the reason why I say it reminded me of the USA is because frequently there was this situation where you'd have Liverpool's front three, sometimes their front 4 or 5, pressed really far forward, but then the back line, rather than being all the way up at midfield, so it's a very condensed space, they were still sitting deep. So basically City were able to kind of calmly possess the ball at times, and then when Liverpool finally started to react and started to send some numbers forward, then they sent numbers forward at the wrong times. Man City could pick that defense apart. Fernandinho and Kevin de Bruyne, as we already talked about.
And then the
other
other midfielder,
shredding things.
The other midfielder is David Silva. Yeah. So you've got three guys who are wonderful at moving the ball around, finding space, and then you've got Jesus and Aguero up top, sort of ready to do damage.
This game in my mind will always stand out as like, aside from the red card and like 5 goals, it will stand out as, oh yeah, David Silva, because so many moments were like, oh yeah, he's there. Like even the Gabriel Jesus header. I don't know if you remember this, but if the ball comes in, Gabriel Jesus gets like a good like kind of directional but powerful header, and right behind him is David Silva, sort of just like jumping in the air behind it, and it was just a lot of like, oh, there's David Silva. Oh, there's David Silva. Oh, he's there too.
He joined Man City's press sometimes as well, which really panicked Liverpool. I remember Trent Alexander-Arnold getting into a little bit of trouble quite a lot of times where he wanted to play at the back. He ended up having to kick it long. I also remember a time when TAA was, I'm a big fan of his because he's a young English right back playing in the Premier League. He was taking a throw in. It was about the 10th minute in, and he just couldn't find anyone to throw the ball to because Man City had closed down every single option. The referee had a word with him afterwards.
Ooh,
like faster with the throw-ins. It was like, we're 10 minutes in, you got to start throwing it faster.
He definitely had a day to forget. I'm not going to say it was necessarily his fault.
He had a teenage fullback kind of day.
Yeah, well, I think the match of the day, guys, it was Ian Wright and Alan Shearer.
Yeah.
Did a very good job.
I didn't watch, by the way.
Okay, well, then I'll break it down for you. But basically, they made a very good point, which is that Mendy, who was playing like kind of like that left wing back role for City, basically he does
So I was going to say he played left back basically to start with.
Yeah.
Because it was almost like they had quite a few guys back.
And then away he goes.
As soon as it's 10 men, he was off.
But their point was essentially he will always either right away or very quickly just whip the ball into the box.
Yes.
And so Alexander-Arnold basically kept like standing off of him, expecting him to like come at him, and then he would just play it in behind every single time. The one time Alexander-Arnold stepped to him, he like did that. Do you remember the thing that we used to slate DeAndre Yedlin for, where he would do that kind of like jump in the air, try to block the cross? The one time Trent Alexander-Arnold went to step to do that, he jumped, and Mendy cut past him and just dribbled into the box. Wow. It was like, oh, no.
So I think we're starting to see the best of Mendy from Man City, especially in this game. I was really impressed. I like him a lot more this week compared to last week because I've seen the thing.
I just love that Yaya Toure looks. He was so confused.
Yeah. Do you know why? Because Mendy was doing a horrible rendition.
Oh yeah.
His phrasing was off. He was out of tune.
And he was also like halfway across the field.
Yeah, you couldn't barely understand, but he just seems like a fun dude.
I have 2 more points from this game.
Yeah.
One, I'm going to say thumbs up to my buddy Trey's prediction, which I love very much. He said his specific prediction, he's a Liverpool fan, Mohamed Salah will score double-digit goals in the league, but once the season finishes, people will think he should have scored almost double. And it's a great prediction because
that happened right today.
He gets himself into such good positions, and he gets himself in the spot where he should score, and then he shoots it at the goalkeeper, or the goalkeeper makes a good save, or he shoots it wide, and then sometimes he scores. So it feels like for every 2 chances, maybe he'll take 1.
Yeah.
And in this game, like that was the one chance they had, and it was a decent save, but it was also just he probably should have done better.
Yeah, but I feel like everyone who says that about Mohamed Salah is not as good at football as Mohamed Salah.
Well, I mean, we could say that about literally every player that you and I have ever criticized. So, yeah.
We can get all of it.
I would.
What did you make of Salah being subbed out at half-time? He was, as Klopp tried to reorganise after the red card, Salah was sacrificed at half-time to bring Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in, and they played a weird, like, Emre Can sort of dropped into behind, so it's like a 5-3-1 almost. So I thought it was a weird decision to take Salah out because he seemed like Liverpool's most dangerous player. When they had 11 men.
I think that's the thing, is that they didn't have 11 men anymore. So then you got, with Mane gone, you've got to look at like what you're going to try to do. And my assumption is that they were basically just like, we're not going to try to like break with pace down the wing. So let's kind of restructure it so we can like block it through the middle. Well, it's just more so somebody's got to be sacrificed.
Yeah.
And then you got to figure out who that's going to be.
All right. So I've got a thumbs up. Oh no, Felipe Coutinho probably gives a thumbs up to Sadio Mane getting the red card because it provides Felipe Coutinho with an easy path back into the first 11 when Mane is suspended in the future.
Yes, it does. So should we talk about that?
Yeah. I'm surprised we've got 9 minutes in without talking about it. Every other show will lead with this.
Well, I would say so.
Yeah.
Well, what would they lead with? That it should have been a red card, or that it should have been a red card?
That whole debate, and it will take 20 minutes to decide.
And it will be sort of like, well, I understand. And I feel like it's always going to be the consensus is, yes, it's probably a red card according to the rules of the game, but he probably didn't mean it maliciously.
Yes, I think that's okay. Yeah, we've skipped to the end, right?
Yeah.
We've saved you the fake back and forth of like car talk radio.
But if you didn't see it, it's basically If you didn't see it, it's basically ball over the top. He's running on. He's trying to he kind of jumps in the air, tries to settle with his foot. Doesn't realize that Ederson is coming off his line, which he had been doing most of this game. That's kind of what he's doing.
That's his game. He's a sweeper keeper. He's the new Manuel Neuer.
So he came out, tried to head the ball, and it wasn't like he dipped down a little bit, but it certainly wasn't like he was in a position where it was no longer dangerous play. So even though Mane was not trying to kick him in the face, the fact that his boot was that high that you would then argue that he was out of control because he couldn't stop or control his momentum and not kick him in the face. So for me, it's a justified red, but I understand why he was going for it. I don't really understand why Jurgen Klopp was defending it. Well, he wasn't really defending it, but he was more
just kind of knew the game was going to fall apart without him, so he just wanted to argue it as much as he could.
But at the end of the game, he said, I'm not even sure he made contact. I mean, obviously he made contact because he has a slash on his face, but I didn't see, it didn't look that bad. It was just a very you are struggling. You are trying to find a talking point, which is why Jurgen Klopp is not the GOAT of managing the media. But more on that later on.
So the initial reaction was that Mane was going for the ball. He didn't even look at Ederson. That's not enough to excuse it, right? If you endanger an opponent, that is excessive force, which is actually the official term in the FIFA laws, right? There's careless, reckless, excessive force. And excessive force is a red card. And I think it's always within the referee's jurisdiction to say, you used excessive force, it endangered an opponent, you got to go. Yeah,
and I'll say, to his credit, Mane issued a public apology.
He did, all right.
He definitely was it was an accidental thing, and I'm sorry that he had to miss the game. But I think he knew that he was probably had made a little bit of a mistake there.
Yeah.
But I doubt it will be that severe of a suspension. That said, I guess straight red is always more than just the one game.
I'm not sure. Yeah, more than one, I think. So I want to give a thumbs up to Emre Can, because I don't know if you noticed, but Sadio Mane did not leave the field very quickly. He kind of hung around a little bit, and not in a protest kind of way. He looked stunned and shocked more than anything. I don't think he could quite take it all in. And the referee he was obviously very focused on Ederson and making sure the medics came on and all that sort of stuff. But eventually he noticed, hey, Sadio Mane's still here.
Yeah.
And then Emre Can sort of grabbed him around the shoulder and said, hey, we gotta go.
Yeah.
We gotta walk off.
Yeah.
Thumbs up to Ederson, because even though he got kicked in the face, this was an excellent bit of goalkeeping, because Mane was one-on-one in behind. I don't know why, if he was played on side by Otamendi, I think. But Mane was
You're just saying that because that's the usual go-to.
I'll bet you if you go back and watch it, Otamendi. That was definitely a really dangerous chance. He came off his line and snuffed that out. He got his head to it. He succeeded.
Yeah, I'm just laughing because that's going to be our new go-to for the rest of the year. If Man City conceded a goal, it's it was probably Otamendi.
I will say thumbs up as well to Pep Guardiola. The back three he selected, Otamendi, Stones and Danilo, I think was selected deliberately not with Vincent Kompany, unless he was injured, I'm not sure. Oh, okay, then never mind.
That's right.
Thumbs up for not selecting an injured player.
Yep.
But he kind of selected, I think, enough pace to go up against Liverpool's front three. Because here's what I want to say is, even without that red card, Man City are still winning this game.
Yeah, I think handily. Yep. I think maybe it's not 5-0, but
I think it's 2-0.
I think it was 2-3, probably 3-0 would have been my guess, just by the way they were kind of picking them apart.
Yep.
And then once you've got that one goal lead on Liverpool, they can't quite sit back and break and do the kind of high press counter. They've got to try to go at you a little bit more and try to possess and try to insert themselves into the game.
Yep.
That always leaves them a little bit more vulnerable as a result.
Okay.
But man, that back line from Liverpool, work to be done. Where to be got? Maybe looking towards January. Possibly.
Really? Yeah. Virgil van Dijk again?
I'd say there's.
He didn't play for Southampton this weekend.
They have that. I forget his name. The guy with the best name in the Premier League, Ragnar, whatever. But who started for Liverpool? But
Klavan.
Yeah, Ragnar Klavan.
So he was kind of at fault for the first goal. I think Jesus and Aguero deliberately drifted over. This is as all that is happening that we talked about earlier with Fernandinho and Kevin de Bruyne. They both drift over by him, and then Aguero kind of spins out and away, and then they've left Matip out of the play completely and just isolated Klavan, and then they're in behind him.
Yeah, but he also...
I think he's a little deep as well. Maybe he plays Aguero on side.
Yeah. And I think he also gets dispossessed fairly early on, and then that leads to a breakaway, so that was not great either.
I think Jesus should have scored, right?
Yeah, or I think Mignolet kind of stands on his head there. Either way, it was not a great game for Ragnar.
It wasn't.
Which is a bummer.
Bring back Jamie Carragher.
Or bring back Ragnar Lothbrok. It's all fine.
All right, should we move on from this game? Because Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down is about fast reviews of all the games that we saw action from.
Man United Stoke? Is that work for you?
Yeah, you got any Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down?
Yeah, I'm going to say thumbs down, at least for this game, to the Eric Bailly, Phil Jones partnership. And I did hear a couple people speculate that one of the reasons... I saw a lot of people predicting that this game would be a draw or a Man United loss.
Yeah. And what was the result?
2-2 draw.
Yep, Stoke 2, Manchester United 2.
At Stoke. And part of the reason was because Man United had so many players leaving to go on the international break because they're getting called to their various national teams. Stoke had, I guess, fewer. That might have just been the kind of lazy analysis. I would assume so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Peter Crouch was still with Stoke, although I think he was on the bench for this one.
Yeah.
Either way, so it felt very much like a team coming back from the international break and sort of being like, wait, oh yeah, right, we do this now. And that was like,
I'm not buying that logic.
So exemplified by Eric Bailly, in my opinion, that it was just like we always think of him as that sort of like whites of his eyes, crazy intensity, knocking people around, and just that like in multiple times in this game that he just switched off and kind of stood around and was like, oh, I'm keeping everybody on by 5 yards. One time, oh, I'll try to sprint really quickly and catch them offside. Oh, no, he's onside now.
Yeah, so Stoke's first goal, scored by Choupo-Moting, I believe is how you pronounce it, the new signing. There's that ball that's spread out wide to Diouf, and it's Eric Bailly that allows Diouf to be onside, all on the other side of the field. And then Choupo-Moting runs in behind, and Bailly doesn't see it until he's gone, tries to get him, and he's not fast enough to catch. And Bailly's not slow either. And he cannot get there.
No, he's not. But even the one I'm talking about, it's a sequence earlier in the game before Stoke score where he does that thing where he recognizes like, oh no, I have kept everyone on by 5 yards, and it's like that classic defensive mistake of rather than just be like, oh no, I've done this, I need to shift over and try to cover. I'm going to jump forward 5 yards really quickly and see if I can catch him. But then what you're doing is you're running the wrong way. And if you don't catch him, which Bailly didn't, it's a breakaway now.
Yeah.
And I think that was either shot wide or maybe there was cover. But either way, it was just, that was kind of disorganized. And then the obvious equalizer from Stoke was Phil Jones getting beat, or was it?
Yeah, so I've got thumbs up for Stoke City's corner kick routines. They did, and this is what results in that sort of, is it an equalising goal when Stoke score? It's Choupo-Moting again with the header, right? Makes it 2-2. Phil Jones ends up spinning in a circle and falling over, and it all looks like it's his fault. But Stoke City throughout the game, I went back and watched, and they do different versions of what we call the Welsh column, which I think we may have some new listeners since Euro 2016. So would you mind explaining the Welsh column corner kick routine?
I think I always go with the Welsh tactical column.
Oh, yes,
but either way.
Welsh tactical column.
It's a thing that the Wales national team did at the Euros in Euro 2016, where for every corner kick, they would usually have 4 people in a straight line, like kind of like stacked up, so as though they were waiting for their chance to like run at goal. So they start at like the top of the box, and then basically they all run to different places. The idea being that you vary that each time. So sometimes the guy in the front runs to the near post. Sometimes he goes to the far post. The markers have a difficulty tracking it, so either they try to transition into zone, which can be problematic because all of a sudden you're like trying to react, and then that's the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. Or if your runner runs somewhere different and you've got a bunch of chaos in the box, you lose your marker. Wales tended to get set piece opportunities.
A lot of it landing on Ashley Williams' head because of that. And just if you've never seen this before, picture it not a straight line like vertical. It's like single file, straight line, lined up, and then they sort of burst in different directions. They did multiple different versions from multiple different positions, Stoke taking corner kicks, and they did a version of it for that goal. So it was, I think it was Diouf and Choupo-Moting, and then it was Herrera and Jones trying to mark them. And I think it's Herrera that gets caught by the column. He ends up trying to go between Choupo-Moting and Phil Jones and causes confusion.
Yeah, because I think Jones is trying to stick with his man, and then Herrera kind of blocks him off, so then Jones has to react to it. But yeah, it's the difficulty of defending that sort of set piece or that sort of approach to a set piece.
Causes absolute chaos.
Because it really is more than ever, like you can't. I do think a big part of it, I'm slowly coming around to the idea that if you're man marking on a corner or a set piece, it is all about getting contact. And because I tend to...
I touch gently.
See,
just to know where they are.
That's the way to do it, because I tend to like kind of try to like put myself in a position where like if the ball comes into like the 6, I can head it clear, but I can also track the runner as he's coming in. It's the worst thing to do, because you don't really know where your guy is. You're basically just playing the ball at that point. You're no longer worried about your man. If it goes over your head, you're in some trouble. So I think in that moment, it's really difficult to track the runner if you even are going for the physical contact, because if a person's in your way, it doesn't really matter if you're touching them. You're going to have to go around that obstacle.
It puts you in a terrible like catch-22 type situation, because then you're faced with either pushing your own teammate out the way to try and get to your man and ruining his thing, or sort of going the long way around to try and get to your man. So you've got like a bad choice either way.
Yes. So I think well done to Stoke for trying all those different
Tony Pulis'
options.
Spirit is alive and well.
I'd say Mark Hughes is doing what he needs to do. But I would say... I'm going to say thumbs up and down, depending on your perspective, for Jose Mourinho for being the best at being the worst. because at the end of the game, yet another handshake gate. He refused to shake hands with Mark Hughes. He did shake hands with every single one of Stoke's other coaches because there was an incident earlier in the game where I guess Mourinho came into Mark Hughes' technical area, his little rectangular box. Hughes kind of, I guess, like depending on your perspective, either like said like, "Hey, come on, get out of my space," or shoved him. That's the different narratives there. And then I think maybe had a word or two. I'm pretty sure you can get what they were on the replay. If I said them here, we'd have to bleep.
Yep.
So then that was the kind of general story. But afterwards, Mourinho basically was like that interviewer asked him, like, why did you refuse to shake hands? And it was something like that. And his response was like, "This is a bad question because you're assuming that you already know the answer. Goodbye." And like walked out. But he knows what he's doing. Is like, because first of all, I guess his argument was, I think he said, Hughes went and talked to the fourth official and complained about him and said he should be sent off. And so that's the Mourinho story. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But so his argument was like, and then I guess like Hughes was like calling for cards throughout the game. Like he'd be on the sideline like waving a fake yellow. And so I think Mourinho just felt like he was sort of being inappropriate. So that's why he refused to shake hands. But I also think if you're Jose Mourinho and you haven't gotten the result you want and you know there's going to be some criticism.
And you've conceded goals for the first time, not won for the first time this Premier League season.
Yeah, and you know that it came about, like both of those goals were preventable. It was United States. See, this is where we are. It was Man United doing silly things to concede.
Well, there are going to be questions asked about Jones and Bailly.
And now
instead there are questions asked about handshakes. Is that what you're saying?
He knows what he's doing. He knows how to dodge those types of things. And
we
he knows
got the better of him,
off.
Yeah. We talked first about Jones and Bailly.
We absolutely did.
In your face, special one.
Yep.
Can I just give a quick thumbs up to Romelu Lukaku?
Sure.
He didn't do the thumbs up that I saw, but he did do
the
gesture in front of him as he made the run to ask. We did the slow-mo replay. You can see him asking Mkhitaryan to play that through ball, literally pointing exactly where he wants it. Mkhitaryan puts it there. Romelu Lukaku scores.
Yep. That's all it takes.
On second attempt. But
even so.
But it was a nice little clever run, like one of those semicircle bending runs, and then point. I just love a player pointing where he wants the ball.
If they continue the way they're going, knock on wood, I feel like that's going to be a highlight.
Oh, that's the Bias Taylor coming out. I always thought you were a good neutral guy when we do the show, and I think United fandom doesn't shine through.
I think it's mostly...
I'm not knocking any wood for you.
I think it's mostly that somebody made that joke that, like, for the 4,000th consecutive show, Taylor identifies as a Man United fan. Because I always feel the need to say that. Like, if I'm going to say something that is biased, I always feel the need to say I am a fan at that point. But then people know that I'm a fan.
But it's like a full disclosure thing.
That's what I mean by it. And I'll say then full disclosure that if that continues, I expect there to be a long highlight reel because it does seem like the Mkhitaryan-Lukaku relationship link-up is in full effect on a consistent basis.
It is, right?
And it makes me happy.
A lot of best buds are going on at Man United.
Yeah. More Premier League coverage?
Yeah. I've got thumbs up to N'Golo Kante.
Okay.
So not only does he score for Chelsea in the 2-1 win away to Leicester, he scores while being booed.
Yes,
did you know this?
Yep.
So the Leicester fans are booing him as he receives the ball quite far out, and they're still booing as he strikes it, and they stop booing, or at least Chelsea fans celebrating drowns them out, as the ball goes in the bottom left corner. There is no better way to silence the booers than scoring while they're at it.
And number one, it's a great goal because it looks on first attempt like, what's he doing? Like, why would he shoot from there? Oh, it went in. Well, that was lucky. And you watch it again, like, no, he knows exactly what he's doing.
It does look lucky first time, right? It's like some sort of weird goalkeeper mistake.
Yeah.
But doesn't it like bounce in front of the keeper? I'm assuming it's Kasper Schmeichel.
Oh, as I recall, it was just like low on the ground. He just picks his spot exactly. Like maybe he spots Schmeichel a little bit too close to the near post. But either way, it's perfectly hit into the side netting.
How many worms lost their lives on the way in?
Several. Although I don't think they have worms in soccer fields.
Well, they just got the top of their heads burned.
Yeah, they just all have, but like unintended buzz cuts. But also, I'll say credit to N'Golo Kante, who does not celebrate either. Which you got to imagine.
Who knows that?
Yeah, it's a very muted celebration. It's sort of like yay, but also no. And it'd be easy to when you're being booed and scoring that type of a goal. It would be easy to run off and celebrate and kind of lose your mind for a second.
Yeah.
It's a credit to him that he's just like, nope, no celebrations from me or from Danny Drinkwater, who sat on the bench sullenly.
Yeah, can I also say thumbs down to Chelsea for buying one of Leicester's best players, then taking him to Leicester and making him sit on the bench the entire time. It's almost like saying to Leicester, see your best player that we just bought for 30-something million, don't even need him. We're going to beat you with him sitting on the bench watching, looking sad.
It's especially, the thing that bums me out the most about it for Leicester is that then they had, was it Adrian Silva? I forget who it was who was supposed to come in. That's just not going to happen.
When they're like 14 seconds late getting the thing submitted, and I don't think there's a way around it.
I don't think there is, and now I think it's come out. I'm not up to date on this transfer saga because why would I be? But as far as I understand, find like reports in the Portuguese press are essentially saying like they were kind of like not reporting this story, I guess, and then like one paper data now everybody is that like it was an intentionally delayed move because I think maybe it was Sporting who were trying to sell him. I forget which club it was, but basically that they didn't actually want to sell him, so they delayed it long enough that they knew it wouldn't go through in time. And then it was like, oops, I guess we have to keep him.
Broken fax machine.
Yes. And so it sucks for Leicester because they were banking on that move to come in because they had sold Danny Drinkwater. And now he is not playing for Chelsea, but could play for Chelsea, and his replacement is certainly not playing for Leicester.
All right, couple more Premier League before we move on.
Sure, I'm going to go the obvious route. I'm going to talk about Watford.
Of course.
I'm going to say...
I feel like you often talk about Watford on this show when I've kind of forgotten, so thank you for doing so.
I think, first of all, it's because they're just fun to watch. They remind me of like a way better Wigan in their prime. My wife's favorite Premier League team for a long time was Wigan under...
Martinez? Probably?
Yes. Yeah, because they were just like crazy all over the place, high pressure. I think there was one game where they were like, we were watching them play United. I think it was like 2-2 at half, and United ended up winning like 5-2 or something like that. But it was just like
there's a lot of like play your way out of the back and damn the consequences.
Yeah, and Watford are like as exciting but better. Like they lock it down, they hold it down, they shut out Southampton 2-0 this weekend.
Early in the season to be saying things like that.
Except that my prediction was that they would be dead last come October. I think that they'd be dead last in the table because my idea was that you've got a new manager who's like relatively unproven, except for Hull getting relegated last season. Not his fault, but still. Then he was going to like be implementing this new system that was going to be difficult, that he didn't quite have the players he wanted. And the fact that like they lost players. They've sold Nordi Namrabat, who started games for them this season, and they still look just as good. I mean, you beat Southampton. That's a decent result. So I'm going to say thumbs up to Watford, thumbs down to my prediction, and I'm going to say thumbs up to Abdullah Doucouré for his beautiful goal.
Is this the goal you showed me just before we started recording?
Yeah. It's basically like it's an unconventional settle.
So what was the Watford score?
2-0.
They won 2-0 against?
Southampton.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and Southampton, I think Southampton were home, so once again, not scoring at home, it's become a problem for them.
They definitely were, because I checked to see if Virgil van Dijk played, and Southampton were on the left on PremierLeague.com, which means at home.
There you go. But but Doucouré, basically, like, it's a loose ball that he settles under pressure and then volleys in from about 20, 25 yards out. But that's kind of what I've come to expect from him this season, that he kind of patrols near the top of the box, like 25, 30 yards from goal, that he does a good job of, like, as a holding midfielder, kind of stepping in there and helping kind of seal off any sort of attempt by the opposition to clear. But then his combination with Chalobah as well, it's very cool to watch. England, they're very good.
He's in the England squad, Nathaniel Chalobah. Can we talk about it? So again, I didn't see much. I didn't see any of this game. You saw the highlights. Tell me what you saw from Chalobah. Make me happy. Make me excited for World Cup 2018, 2022, 2026, and beyond.
I mean, the two of them, they just like Doucouré. I was trying to explain this to you earlier. Like, he reminds me of like a more physical, more defensive Yaya Toure, because he's just big and menacing, and he covers ground so fast. But then between him and Chalobah does a really good job of just kind of like sticking with people. He grinds, and he did. I think I was telling you, he does this one tackle where, forget the Southampton player, but he's kind of coming down the Southampton's right hand side, Watford's left. Chalobah kind of tracks with him, and then I think, like, in maybe a quarter second, recognizes I could slide tackle, put this one out, and he does that sort of step across and then in the same motion bring the ball back.
Yes.
So it's basically like cuts out the attacker and takes the ball.
It's my favourite kind of tackle. You insert yourself between the player and the ball, then you just take the ball, turn around and go, and it looks like a magic trick.
Well, see, and that's the thing, is that you take, first of all, yes, it does, but second of all, like, I would absolutely do that and then take it, turn it, and go, and be like, I did it, and then I get stuck. What he does is do a series of 1-2s with Doucouré all the way down the field, and it like springs a counterattack. So the two of them combining.
Can I find this footage? I want to see this footage.
It's on there. Just watch the extended highlights of that game, but you'll see it, and they look good, and so too do Watford. So thumbs up to them.
Oh, yes, very exciting. Okay, thumbs down to Renato Sanchez.
Yeah.
In Swansea's...
enjoy your retroactive ban.
Swansea's 1-0 loss to Newcastle. Yep. Renato Sanchez, this footage, I found this on Reddit, Saka. The ball is coming to Joselu for Newcastle. Sanchez should be challenging him in the air. This is Renato Sanchez, the young Portuguese guy on loan from Bayern Munich, kind of a phenom, right? We're all excited. Sanchez kicks him between the legs, just fully extends his foot from behind up and into Joselu's tender area. And
tender area.
Joselu goes down, there's no reason. So at first
twig and plums.
There we go.
Twig and berries.
I first thought that he was trying to like do that cheeky thing. I've done this a couple times where you poke your leg between the guy's legs and you get to the ball first. The ball's in the air though. It was a header.
No.
So it was just an absolute attempt to foul. I'm not mad at Renato Sanchez. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. And it reminds me, this is a random reference, but do you remember when we talked about in the 2015 Copa America Centenario when Jermaine Jones gets sent off for that little like slap incident.
Yes.
And there was a lot of debate about whether or not he actually slapped. And we
punch.
Yeah, and we watched it again and again, and there was just that moment where you could see him sort of get mad, and it was like, oop, there it is. Like, he lost it for a half second, and that's all it takes. I do feel like in this incident, Joselu and Renato Sanchez, you can see like a little bit of grabbing and tugging, and like I think Joselu probably backs up into him a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And I can imagine game, right? In that half second of like, oh, you back up into me? Fine. And like I'm gonna, and it is very well disguised. It took us a while to be like, wait a minute, what just happened? Hold on, how did that? Was he doing okay? No, like, and you can understand how it might be missed, but I do wonder if maybe it will be caught on second viewing.
The only thing, all right, apologies in advance for this joke. The only thing I can think is that Swansea manager Paul Clement said to Sanchez, go out there, mark Joselu, make him less productive.
Less reproductive? I know what you're going for.
So also, mini thumbs up. DeAndre Yedlin's return to the first team squad at Newcastle. As I understand
is that where we are? Is that where we are?
Well, I mean, he's like fit enough to be in the matchday squad. We don't expect him to play straight away after being injured, right?
We don't. It's just
I'm thinking ahead
sad.
to.
I'm just sad.
You remember our right back troubles for the US national team? So getting on the bench. Then the next game is early October. There's time for Yedlin to sort of work his way back into the Newcastle, get some first team action, be available for a call up. I actually think if he's fit, that we'll call him up anyway.
Yeah.
Whether he's played for Newcastle or not. Jeff Cameron, by the way, thumbs down. Jeff Cameron got injured at half time. That Stoke Man United game. He's out for a couple of weeks. That is getting close to October. That's a worry.
It is, and I'm wondering, I don't know this, and there's a decent chance that it was like the end of last season was this, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. But if Yedlin doesn't start or play in the next game, and Cameron is injured, are we looking at and maybe I'm missing somebody, are we looking at the first time in a very long time that there wasn't an American involved in any Premier League game? Because it seems like for the longest time we at least had a goalkeeper in there somewhere.
Danny Williams might be coming on for Huddersfield.
Okay, there we go.
Got that.
There we go.
We've got something to hang on to.
Clinging on to hope.
Maybe Sunday will get promoted to the Man United first team.
Sure. Yeah, real quick. What could go wrong?
Anything could happen.
Yeah.
Can also give a thumbs up to... let's give a thumbs up to Harry Kane's luck in September.
Sure.
So this has become a famous thing where Harry Kane struggles in August, bangs in a bunch of goals in September. We mentioned in the international roundup, it started September 1st for England.
Yep.
Harry Kane scored on September 1st, and we are away. Today, he scored 2 goals for Spurs in the 3-0 win away to Everton. One of them was definitely a cross. I think he said he was lucky afterwards, that went in the top left corner. Yeah, go Harry Kane.
I mean, when you're feeling it, you're feeling it, man. When you're in good form, luck happens.
Yep.
Although I don't really believe in luck when it comes to soccer.
Is that right?
Well, have we ever talked about this before?
Are you like, the more I practice, the luckier I get?
Well, no. So maybe I've not talked with you about this, or maybe I have like once or twice. I tell my wife this story all the time. When I went to get my like C license for coaching, no, my D license.
Yeah.
Excuse me. C is a whole thing. My D license. C is like you go away for a week. It's a very interactive thing that I'm not ready for. An intense thing, rather. But like one of my negative marks from my like evaluators. One of them was I kept my hands in my pockets. Don't do that. And number 2 was that I have a habit of saying unlucky. Like, oh, you did well, unlucky there, you didn't finish.
Yeah.
And their point was, no, it wasn't unlucky. You did something wrong. Like if you don't finish in a clear-cut opportunity, it's not unlucky. You messed up. And so it was interesting. So I think about that
Harry
sometimes.
Kane hit a bad cross.
Yeah.
And it went in the top left corner.
Yeah, so
that's lucky. That should have just been a bad cross that went out for a goal.
No, he did something wrong that ended up having a positive result. That can be a positive too.
Okay.
It keeps working for certain characters on Game of Thrones, and that's all I'm saying about Game of Thrones. That's it. Don't worry. No spoilers.
No spoilers
at all.
Since I mentioned North London, thumbs up to Lacazette. I picked him to be, impressive this year. He scored again. Welbeck also scored twice. Arsenal beat Bournemouth 3-0. It does feel a little bit like all those troubles from the end of the transfer window are at least slightly washed away by this 3-0 win over Bournemouth. It's not all roses, but
or that the transfer window is closed.
Yeah.
It's like time to figure some stuff out.
But imagine like the downward spiral Arsenal seem to be on, almost like PR-wise and emotionally. If they'd not beat Bournemouth, it would sort of keep spiraling downwards.
Yeah. Can I say on a completely unrelated note, and this is not a spoiler, but speaking of Game of Thrones, I genuinely, I swear, thought this as I was watching the post-game interviews. Eddie Howe should be a character on Game of Thrones.
Why?
Like if you grow it, he just looks it. He has that kind of like that strong chin, that strong face, the blue eyes. If he had like the long blonde hair, I don't know, he'd probably be like
a Lannister?
I feel like he could have been
He's
young Ned
Targaryen?
Stark. That's all I'm saying. But I don't think he has the accent right.
Okay.
He'd be in there.
I'm not sure whereabouts he's from.
He's noble. I feel like he'd be fine.
I mean, he's nobly doing fine with Bournemouth.
Yeah, there you go. All I'm saying is that therefore he would not be a Lannister.
Got it.
Although two of the best characters. Anyway, whatever, it's fine.
All right, before we move on to some things we saw in Europe for thumbs up, thumbs down, and some Major League Soccer, you got any more Premier League you want to talk about?
Not necessarily Premier League, but just thumbs down to John Motson for retiring, because John Motson was the voice of soccer when I was growing up.
He deserves to retire. He's been going for a while.
No. You talk about soccer until you can no longer talk. No, I mean, so it's just thumbs down because I'm sad to see, it's a sign of change.
I say,
we fear change.
Hang up the sheepskin jacket and let someone else have a go.
I disagree. But yeah, every FIFA game in my early youth, and then maybe even still, I don't know if he's made a return, but I just remember John Motson. Before I knew a lot of famous players, I knew John Motson. So, well done to him for an amazing career, and you should watch his highlights because they're great.
All right. Oh, there's a best of John Motson type thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Match of the Day from it. Were they making a big deal of it on Match of the Day? Is that where you saw this?
No. Really? I think it was last week he announced that he was retiring. So there was a bunch of people posting their favorite clips of him. Mostly Ian McIntosh.
There we go.
Yeah.
So my favourite thing about John Motson, a lot of people... sorry, I've sidetracked us here, but I think this is important.
Well, I think I sidetracked us first, so it's fine.
But a lot of people will work for the BBC, which only pays so much because it's public money, right? Or it's the licence fee money. And then they'll move on and go work for one of the independent commercial networks like ITV or Channel 4. And the product they produce is not as good, but they get paid an absolute boatload. The guy who preceded Gary Lineker on Match of the Day, Des Lynam, did exactly that. He went to ITV. They did a Match of the Day type show. Wasn't even close to as good. John Motson, as I understand it, has stuck with the BBC for decades and decades and decades. It's a proper old school British institution type thing.
You've also given me hope.
He's a one club man. He's like the...
There we go.
I was going to say John Terry, but he's at Villa now.
Yeah,
he's the Steven Gerrard. No, he went to LA Galaxy. Come on. He's the Ryan Giggs of commentators.
There we go. Yes. I had a momentary was there a loan in there? No, there was not.
He barely even played for Wales.
There we go. Yeah, well, we won't bring that up later on. But yeah. I was going to say John Motson. Oh, you've given me hope, though, because Gary Lineker is very good on Match of the Day, and I think he's genuinely very clever and good at a little bit of improv, and then going back to his anyway, Watford, 2-0, let's go.
He'll get back to business.
Yeah, he does that sort of very dramatic read and stares right at the camera, and I can tell him looking into my soul, and I like it.
Speaking of getting to business and dramatic reads, let's do today's sponsor.
Sure.
Today's sponsor is bonfire.com. Yeah, that was a Lineker-style segue, right?
Well, it was, except that again, this is another one of my recurring favorite things on this show is Daryl Grove's ability to do a really good segue, but then also say that it's a segue. You segue and then you're so let's do the read now.
Like Bird Hapley.
Yeah.
So today's show is brought to you by a sponsor, and that sponsor is bonfire.com. So Bonfire is a t-shirt, well, not a t-shirt company, but they are a platform for you to sell merch like t-shirts, tote bags, hoodies, sweaters, all that good stuff. We like them so much, we use them ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly do. We're thinking about using them. Well, we will be using them for further campaigns.
We'll set up a new campaign.
We've got some. You're going to do the white shirt with black print.
Yeah, white shirt with black print, Total Soccer Show logo. Wear white after Labor Day campaign.
And you know that I'm a fan of Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast.
Yeah.
And I think it's intern Gino, who's a character, is one of his responsibilities, in addition to refilling the water glasses, which he seldom does, is to just make a note of all of the "is that a shirt" ideas. They're always terrible. And I feel like we should start doing that as well. For example, the I want you to silence your phone. I feel like that might be a shirt idea. So maybe we should keep a running tally of is that a shirt?
But not just our ideas. Yeah. If listeners have ideas for your company, for your soccer supporters group, if you're part of a soccer supporters group, for a youth team that you run or an adult team, or for any sort of fundraiser. There's a separate fundraising version where people can also add a donation to buying the shirt. Bonfire.com will allow you to set up a store for zero cost. It does not cost you a penny to do it. You set up the store, people go there and start buying the t-shirts. All you have to do is sell 5 t-shirts, and they are guaranteed to print and to ship to all of your customers. You don't have to do anything except set the store up.
No, and I'll say this, and I might be wrong, but I feel confident in saying that also it's a probably easier way to get semi-branded club material without spending a lot of money, because obviously if you put a logo on it, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, if you don't break the copyright, you can definitely do it.
Well, what I mean is you could probably do, if you were a member of Bar Brava or Screaming Eagles, it's an easy way to do black, white stripes, put your name on there, you're good, and you're not paying like club costs to get like a knockoff jersey that you can then wear. Like it allows you to set it up to basically represent the club, represent the colors of the club, so you still look like you belong, but you're also not breaking the bank.
And you also, you set the fee yourself, right? So when you set up the store, you set up the design, you choose how much the t-shirt is going to be, and they will tell you, okay, this is what your cut is going to be.
Yeah.
And so, like, little view behind the curtain, if you sell for like $20, you get 50%, which is a really good margin. You do not get that margin on other sort of custom apparel sites.
You do not, which is why we usually don't talk about our margins. But, Daryl Grove's giving peaks.
There we go. Yeah, so if you go to bonfire.com/totalsoccer, there'll be a link in the show notes. Then you can go, and they know that you've come through us. They'll give you special treatment. And if you're not a designer type, you just tell them your idea, send a rough sketch, send an image you have. They will fix it for you so that you'll be able to put that on a T-shirt. Bonfire.com/totalsoccer.
Beautiful. Thank you to Bonfire for sponsoring today's show. Daryl Grove, thank you for doing that ad read with me. Now thank you for taking us on to some other thumbs up, thumbs down from the weekend.
Yeah, where should we go? Let's go to Germany.
Yeah, it's the way we usually go.
When we got to the office tonight, we watched the final 15 minutes of Schalke's 3-1 win over Stuttgart because that's when Weston McKennie enters the picture.
And this is the second FIFA reference of the evening. So, again, I think I've said this before, and I think we've had an answer, but I'm still going to not remember it and say this anyway. It used to be for a period of time that it was like, Daryl Grove, you're center back. And you're like, say you're a 92 as a center back. I'm going to say you're a full 100. You're a full 100 as a center back. But say I put you then at like left back and you're right-footed, like FIFA would drop you to like a 90 because that's not really where you're supposed to be, or even worse.
96.
Yeah, but there really would be like dramatic drop-offs. So like if you're a center back and I put you at forward, that's something you go from 100 to like a 70, right?
Yeah.
And I do feel...
Actually, that feels about right to me. Like, I'd go from a 70 to a 40, I think.
I think you still might be slightly generous, but yeah. And so I'll say this. That's what I felt like watching Weston McKennie, because when we saw him sub on previously, he was subbed in up top as like this kind of like number 9, but putting pressure on people.
Yeah. This is a couple of weeks back, right?
And he was okay.
They played him centre forward, but he looked out of position.
And he had like a few moments that were good, but he had a few moments that were sort of like, well, that's interesting. And when they put him in as a number 6, number 8, sort of like midfield,
definitely
center
a holding central midfielder in Schalke's formation.
He looked real good. He looked real good.
Excellent. A lot of stepping and winning the ball. He got into it with people. He would like tussle, come out with the ball, play some very clever, nice passes. I also liked he intercepted a few balls and played a pass at the same time he intercepted. That stuff got me excited.
He looked hungry. I guess he looked like a guy who'd been told, go in there, make the most of these 12 minutes, don't get beat. Make sure you let them know you're there. And he really was, to your point, like he was on people. And it was just... And
19. He is 19 years old.
And he got a yellow for professional foul, so there's that. But...
Even that I kind of liked, because he stopped that play from continuing. It's also the second yellow in the 2 appearances. Remember he got a yellow in that other 10-minute appearance when he kicked the ball away?
Yeah, whatever. Just tell him to calm down a little bit when he plays for the national team, which I do think should happen now. Because, not to get like too overhyped here.
We were thinking this, right? We were watching him play 15 minutes of the Bundesliga. Look, not just like he could hang, but looking influential.
Yep.
And I kind of thought, add him to the midfield. We might be getting overexcited on 15 minutes of evidence.
Oh, absolutely we are. But it was
the last
just...
2 games were real bad, so...
I'm still thinking, like, so don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, like, he's an automatic starter now, 15 minutes is all it takes, but 15 minutes is enough time to see what, like, his potential is right now, and his potential is to be a very good player who could be a serviceable option for the United States coming off the bench, because you could see him playing his way out of pressure, you could see him putting people under pressure, reading the game really well. A couple different times I saw him, and this is the thing that I thought was the most interesting, was that he would regularly kind of sitting deep, read, okay, he's going there, and like sprint across, cover 15 yards, get into a channel and block out a pass, and then move right back to where he was supposed to be. And I felt like his read of the game was really, really, really good, and something that not a lot of other U.S. midfielders can do.
Agreed. He also almost scored. He had that header that was it was kind of not a full stretch save, but it had to be saved. He had a really good like run jump header from across. He also got beat down in the corner. Do you remember that? He got too tight with a guy who accelerated past him down the wing and crossed it. But that was literally in 15 minutes plus stoppage time, the only bad moment that I remember.
I also want to...
And we watched pretty closely, right?
There's also a chance that maybe this weekend wasn't great for Americans abroad. So maybe it was just that this was like the one, like, yay, something good.
So Pulisic played for Dortmund. He played 90, but they tied 0-0. So not the best of weekends, especially coming off of his international...
Bobby Wood's Hamburg lost 2-0, I believe it was, to RB Leipzig.
Yeah.
And then...
Timo Werner went coast to coast, kind of. Yeah, it was absolutely too fast for the entire Hamburg team.
And then Timmy Chandler started, looked good, looked like a very good player, but it doesn't matter because no one likes Timmy Chandler, apparently. I am sort of still at a loss about that one. But again, but this is one of those situations where I can't say that I watch enough to know, oh, no, he should be doing this, or, oh, he's great. It's a lot of word of mouth.
McKennie or Chandler?
Chandler.
Yeah.
That I just don't want to say he should absolutely be getting called to the camp. It's a travesty because I
tweeted this weekend that one day we'll get the full Timmy Chandler story because there's something going on, right? There's something that we don't know about. And one thing I thought is, do you remember when he was like on the fence about whether to play for the US or not? And in the end, the quote was, "I'm 1,000% committed." Mm-hmm. That definitely is like when the waiter comes to your table and says, "I definitely didn't do anything to your water." Right. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
It's because like overselling it. Like I didn't ask you
because
for that.
A restaurant in a 2-block radius of where we were recording said that to me once, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so throw this away then."
Let's
got
not
it.
Pour this over the rooftop.
But then your cabana would cover that spill. Anyway, yes. So I do feel like there is probably something else going on. And we definitely know that that could be the case because we definitely know that that is the case with Weston McKennie.
Yeah, so
there's a lot of we know followed by question marks and uncertainty. But anyway.
This is why you should write people's names down. It's either JR or JK Eskelsen. It's JK Rowling. JR Eskelsen on TopDrawSoccer.com. After we did our recent Top Draw Soccer show where we picked our future US 11, please go find Top Draw Soccer Show, all one word, download it, it's good. He tweeted at us that there's definitely something going on with Weston McKennie and Richie Williams. Mm-hmm. So Richie Williams was the U17 coach in 2015 who did not select Weston McKennie, which in hindsight is mind-blowing.
Yep.
But also Richie Williams is an assistant on Bruce Arena's staff.
Yep.
So there may be a problem in terms of Weston McKennie getting called up to the US national team. There's something there that we don't know about.
And I said this off air, and I will say this again, that if what we saw from Weston McKennie is what becomes his, like, if that's the bar and if that's what he regularly achieves, then see ya, Richie Williams. like we are not in a position to be like, well, this kid's good, but we've got Yogi Low on the bench, and he knows best. It sort of is like, I love Richie Williams.
He played for the Kickers.
He played for the Kickers, yeah, when they won the US Open Cup.
Right. So you were a ball boy back then, right?
I was the water boy.
Oh,
thank you very
excuse me,
much,
Adam Sandler.
Sir. Hey, it's a bigger deal. You get to sit right behind the bench and hear them all trash talk. It's great.
I've got one more Bundesliga-related thing.
All right.
Thumbs up to Hoffenheim for quick thinking.
Yep.
We saw this. This was
so good.
Brilliant. Hoffenheim beat Bayern Munich this weekend 2-0. And the first goal is a magnificent bit of quick thinking from, I believe his name is Andre Kamaric. Mm-hmm. So the ball goes out for a throw-in. Like it's bounced over the line. Mm-hmm. Mats Hummels is defending Kamaric. Hummels volleys it way up the field, even though the ball has already gone out, right?
And you made the point that like he's clearly doing this because, the ball's out of bounds, but I'm going to boot it away, and then they'll have to wait to get it back. Because he boots it still into play, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like, they got to collect it and bring it back. We're going to have time to get set up.
Yeah.
I'll slowly jog back to my penalty area.
But Kamaric turns around, sees a ball boy, and he's like, fast, fast, fast. Yep. Ball boy throws in the ball. Hummels isn't even looking, right? He's jogging back to position. Kamaric throws it over his head into the path of Mark Uth, I believe is how you pronounce it, UTH. Uth goes fast outside the foot, goal, past Manuel Neuer, 1-0 Hoffenheim. And they score again later on.
Hummels is definitely not looking right when the throw is taken, but he turns around because I think it's a Bayern coach, like vaults off the bench and is screaming like, I'm assuming the German equivalent of, he's going to take the throw right now, turn around. And then by the time Hummels turns around to say, what? The throw's already been taken.
Schnell.
That's probably more likely.
Quick. Yeah. So, but really good fast thinking from Kamaric and from the ball boys as well. Thumbs up. Bruce Arena would love those ball boys.
Yes, he would. He's got no patience for a slow ball boy.
All right. Elsewhere in Europe, thumbs down to Metz.
Yeah.
For forgetting how good Neymar is.
Don't know how you do that.
Nope. So Metz lost 5-1 to PSG. There is a goal where they kind of stand off of Neymar.
I mean,
we watched this together.
They don't kind of. They just straight stand off.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I think Neymar's standing right next to the referee for a moment.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're maybe just like, oh, okay, he's being marked by the referee? I don't know.
But Neymar has his back to goal,
He
maybe
does.
10 yards outside the area. The ball's played into him by maybe Rabiot. And
Yeah,
instead of like someone going and closing him down or getting on him, they're just like, oh, that's fine.
No, they did. They got to him. I mean, all it was that he received the ball back to goal, turned, took another touch, then took another touch, then another touch, and then shot. They got to him eventually. Kind
Back of the net.
Not really.
You've got to be on Neymar.
Yeah.
You can't give him any space. Even if he's facing the other direction, he can turn around. He knows how to turn around and run at you and shoot. 5-1 to PSG.
And
Yeah.
Third FIFA reference of the show.
Uh-oh.
This reminds me of when I refused to raise the difficulty from amateur to semi-pro when I was like first playing, and so every season I would have like 100 goals scored, or like I'd have one player scoring 100 goals.
Yeah.
PSG are going to annihilate every team in that league. It is ridiculous.
So no challenge for Monaco, right? They lost 4-0, I think.
They sure did.
I can't fact check that. I think I just saw that. All right.
More on that later when we get to the scouting reports.
All right. Oh, but I'm assuming Mario Balotelli is not in the scouting network. I think he scored for Nice, maybe a couple of times.
I'd be okay with that.
Kylian Mbappe also scored
Sure did.
for PSG in this game. I think he tries to chip it over the top to Neymar. It doesn't quite get there because it was kind of a dumb pass to make, but it comes back to him and he just bangs it with his right foot.
Yeah. Anything else in Europe? I've got one more thing.
I've got nothing else in Europe.
All right, I just want to say it's more of a thumbs up to Gary Lineker for being clever once again, because I think he had a tweet that was something along the lines of, like, Leo Messi is really struggling in the absence of Neymar. He's only scored 5 goals in the first 3 games. So Messi's doing all right. Messi's feeling fine, although I guess that's kind of what he has to do, given the kind of lack of options at Barcelona at present.
Yeah, well, I still think it's just like you don't have like super famous options, but you still got like Deulofeu is a proper soccer player. You know what I mean? Just because he's not Neymar and Suarez, etc.
Yeah, he's fine.
All right. One final thing in Europe. Thumbs up to Mark Hamill for being a Wolves fan.
There it is. I was wondering if we were going to get there.
Also, thanks. So I did already see this quite early on, but a lot of people have tweeted it at us since, like maybe assuming we hadn't seen it. So if we didn't respond to anyone, we apologise, but it's because we already knew. And so I responded to the first one, I think, with asking what I think about it. And what I think is the Wolves will be with him always.
Would you want to explain what happened?
So as I understand it, a couple of like Wolves supporters just randomly tweeted at Mark Hamill, like, do you support Wolves?
I'm assuming he was doing some sort of like ask me anything, or maybe he just like has a tendency to respond to tweets.
I actually don't know the full story. He liked it. He didn't say yes, he liked it. And then a bunch of people saw that, Wolves fans, and the word spread. And people kept asking him, oh, so you're a Wolves fan now? And eventually he's just like, well, yeah, I guess I've got so much love since I liked this tweet that I guess they're my team now.
Well, I think initially he thought they were talking about literal wolves.
Yes,
like he thought they were talking about. He was like, yeah, sure, Wolves are great.
He doesn't understand capitalization.
There's the video where they bring back Yellowstone. I think it is. Is that what it is? I think so. That's a great video. You should watch that. It's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, they really did. Wolves are great.
Right.
But also your Wolves are great too. I see. I still had some hesitation there because I got burned by the Kanye tweet when he said I'm going to fix Wolves or whatever. Like, hold on, we got to fix Wolves, and I was like, does he have an ownership stake? Did he buy into it?
What did happen with that? I remember that.
I think it was just a track that it was just a track called Wolves on his new album.
He didn't like give them George Mendes' phone number.
Maybe he did. You never know these things.
I'm assuming Mark Hamill is not actually going to be like signing up for Wolves TV and paying $7 to watch a game on Saturday morning.
I bet he shows up at a game, especially if they make it to the Premier League, which they will.
Or to promote The Last Jedi. He may turn up at a Wolves game like late November.
I could see him doing like some terrible PR gimmick at midfield. Yeah,
I'm all in.
He like hovers in, uses the Force to land.
Oh, let's do our sort of terrible cut-up version of this real quick. Thumbs up to the Premier League for closing the transfer window next season before the season starts.
Let's do our quick what?
Like terrible morning radio type thing where we take opposite
you mean
opinions.
because you're wrong? Is that what you mean?
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
All right. Are we done?
Yeah. Your thumbs down on that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Only because I think it feels very sort of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like it makes sense on paper. It's like, yeah, I mean, you want everybody ready. But again, my objection remains that as long as you are so hell-bent on commercialization that you're going to do crazy tours all around the world, you're not going to be focused on doing an actual preseason. And then if all of your club is away, like it makes it really hard to do signings and bring them in. A lot of times,
the internet now and stuff.
Well, but really, I think a lot of the time you don't really have a lot unless the player like Lukaku, I think, was already in Los Angeles, and then he did the medical
living with Pogba. Right?
Yeah, they're on vacation together. Yeah, so I think like he did the medical at like UCLA or something. I forget where, but like unless you have those,
that's interesting.
Unless you have those situations, it is sort of if Ivan Perisic is going to sign for Man United in the middle of the summer, but he's already left for their tour of Asia, and Man United are in the United States. Like yes, he can do a medical, but it's difficult to get him in with the club, so he's not going to get actual preseason. And that part of it is still confusing to me. And then also the fact that nobody else is doing this.
I say be the change you want to see in the world.
Sure.
All right, maybe we'll revisit this another day.
Again, I understand why you'd want it, and I think it makes sense, but I think it necessitates a lot of other change that is going to be slow to take place. And so I foresee it being very problematic.
How about this for a prediction? The rest of Europe will follow suit as soon as next transfer window. The other European leagues will they'll vote to do exactly the same thing starting next year.
Why?
So there'll never be a time when the Premier League will close early. Because they theoretically would want the same thing, to have your squad set up before the season starts.
Except that I could also see clubs, like specifically, I think Turkey's window is still open, and I only say that because they are still like going after players. I think that they have just agreed to a loan deal for Janssen from Tottenham, but they were also in for
Janssen?
Yeah, and then they were also in for somebody else very good, because I think RVP tore his ACL, so I'm guessing he's done for the season. Mm-hmm. But they were in for somebody else too, where it was just like, oh, it's another one away. Oh, Diego Costa, that's the one. They're in for Diego Costa because they can still sign people.
Yep.
And so I do wonder if there will be some leagues that are like, or we could wait, and all those dudes who wanted moves and didn't get them, now we will come in and offer them lower money because that dude still wants to go.
Yeah,
but no one else can buy him.
Riyad Mahrez ends up playing for Galatasaray.
Ooh,
next year.
I like that idea.
That could happen, right?
A lot.
Oh, should we go to MLS? Thumbs up, thumbs down. There's quite a lot of thumb action to do here. You want to start us off?
I do, except that I'm going to lead with sort of not MLS news, because I'm going to lead with Eric Palmer-Brown news.
Okay.
And it's in the scouting report, so I'll read the scouting report first, because it was in my notes as well.
More scouting reports later?
Russell Finley scouting Eric Palmer-Brown, 20-year-old American center back for Sporting KC. According to a couple different... According to a couple different reports out of England, Palmer-Brown will sign a 4.5-year contract with Man City after the season at Kansas City. Nothing is official yet, says Russell. I don't know how to feel about this, says Russell.
How do you feel about this?
I don't think it's a very good move.
Because he's not going to break that Man City team?
Nope.
Because they're going to loan him out all over the place?
Yep.
They loan him back to NYCFC?
Yeah. Well, why would they loan him to NYCFC? Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, they could. They could definitely do that. I think it's more so, and I know that he doesn't have any say about like the clubs that are pursuing him and who he ends up moving to, but I saw a reporter that he was also linked, like PSG were in there. PSG probably the same issue, but then PSV and Ajax, and those are clubs that like have that pedigree, but also
Ajax
have that ability.
just lost a really expensive centre back, Davison Sanchez, who played for Spurs this weekend, I believe.
Yeah, he did. So it's just that's the only thing is I don't see him getting first team minutes anytime soon. And then you look at other players, Chalobah, for example, who's moved on. And it's like paying dividends, and I just wonder if it's that great for young, talented Americans to go sit in a prestigious club.
Eric Palmer-Brown is now 20. It's not like he's 17, 18.
True.
20 is when you got to start playing, right? His career needs to start, and he's not going to play for Man City in January. He's not Gabriel Jesus, right?
His career needs to continue, is what I'd say. Not start, because it has started, but it needs to kind of like move forward.
Weird. He's been at Sporting KC and not really playing. Then he's loaned out to Porto B, I believe, and like he's in and out of that team. You know what I mean? He's never been like, all right, you are the centre back at this team.
Yeah, that's fair. But all I mean to say is that it's not as though like, okay, he's like we're waiting to see when his career is going to begin. Like it's like he's making moves, he's learning stuff, he's putting himself in a position, and I felt like he was putting himself in a position to go either start for a Major League Soccer club and do great, or move to a club where he was going to get those minutes.
So I guess we shouldn't judge too early, because it could be he moves at the end of the season, then January 1st, Man City have set up a really sweet loan deal somewhere. Like maybe in the Eredivisie. Maybe he ends up on loan at Ajax or PSV. It could be that type of situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's not as though Man City's like defense is rock solid by any means. I mean, they're very good.
But a 20-year-old American without that much first-team experience, I don't think so, right? Nope. I'll happily eat those words if that happens, because I'll be super excited about it.
But it's not going to happen anytime soon, and that's the other element of this that I don't quite get, is I do think that, like, not that Eric Palmer-Brown is like really a contender to make the World Cup, but you never know.
A good 6 months, he could
stranger things have happened, and that, I guess, is my point, that like if you want to continue that trajectory, it makes more sense to me to like finish the season, then like do the Donovan and get that kind of short term.
Go to Cambodia?
Yeah, no, go to Everton. Like get that kind of loan deal where you're going to get some minutes. Maybe he just doesn't have those connections yet, although he has already played in Europe. But that makes more sense to me, because going to City and then sitting on the bench, I don't know if that's going to do, or getting a loan move out, or playing in the academy.
He'll loan out.
Hopefully, but it might be like Premier League 2 minutes aren't going to get you a World Cup berth.
No, that is true. Yeah, not in 2018.
I don't think so.
All right, should we get to Major League Soccer?
Sure.
I want to start with a massive thumbs down to Darren Mattocks. So Darren Mattocks was playing for Portland Timbers in their 1-0 win over NYCFC, right? And there's this nice old Italian man just walking around the field. Darren Mattocks.
It took me a minute to know where you were going with
Darren Mattocks runs up to him, like gives him a little shove, takes something precious off him, then runs off with it, then hands it off to his accomplice, Diego Valeri, and Diego Valeri scores 1-0 Portland Timbers. Terrible stuff from Darren Mattocks.
I mean, he mugged a senior citizen. It feels wrong. Yeah.
If you haven't seen this, it's, of course, Andrea Pirlo. I actually don't know how old he is, but it's definitely late 30s. Starting in central midfield.
He was late 30s, but then in this one play, he was 400 years old.
Right. Yeah. So he's sort of taking his time on the ball, defensive midfield. Matic just presses him, gives him a little nudge, but definitely nothing sort of that would warrant a foul, I don't think. Comes away with the ball and, goes and has that assist for Valeri. Andrea Pirlo just stands there with his arms in the air like, what, referee, you can't tackle me, I'm Andrea Pirlo, World Cup winner.
Yeah, but the thing is, we see that sometimes. Players do that. They'll be frustrated, they thought they should have gotten a call, they'll stay on the ground, or they'll stand there and protest for a second, and then they'll keep going. Pirlo did a full statue, turn, how could you do this to me?
Yeah.
And then when he does start moving, it's a slow jog back.
He doesn't go and help much.
No, it's not very good. Not very good at all.
So someone also sent us. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. Someone sent us a GIF.
Hey, that tradition's alive too.
Yeah, sorry. Of Pirlo just going for a header and just missing it, and it bounces straight over him. Yeah. So he was. From what I understand, he hasn't been playing regularly lately. But NYCFC have injuries in midfield. I just looked at the injury reports. Yanga Herrera and I think Alex Ring were both questionable for this game. I'm assuming neither of them played, and that's why Pirlo was sort of pressed into action. He hasn't played for a couple of months, right?
Yeah, no. But maybe that's why. Maybe they woke him up. He was grumpy, and then he just wasn't ready to go. So he was just in not a very great mood.
Yeah, so I think this is maybe the last season for Andrea Pirlo, and it's kind of sad that it ends this way, right? Because it wasn't so long ago where we're suddenly like, oh, he's in his mid-30s, but he's still dominating England at World Cups.
Well, they're going to make the playoffs, so we'll see. We'll see where we go with it.
Okay, yeah. So he may have a final glorious Andrea Pirlo exit.
You're going to put him in for the penalties if you're in a penalty shootout. Yeah, sure. I'll say that much.
What if he has a sad, lazy Panenka that someone catches?
Oh, no.
That would be the worst, right?
All right, let's not go down that road. Instead, let's talk about another grumpy man, although this one is one that I happen to agree with in this incident.
Who's this?
It's Alexi Lalas.
Oh, yes.
And his rant.
Halftime rant in, was it LA Seattle or Seattle LA?
So I'm not sure which one it was.
It was those two teams, but we weren't sure who was at home. It's the Sunday night game. We just saw the clip of Alexi Lalas's rant where he essentially calls out the entire US men's national team.
Literally the entire team, because I think he ends it with, and if I didn't say your name, it's because you don't deserve to be mentioned. So there you go. Did you say thumbs up? You thumbs up this? Thumbs up this completely.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think it echoes my feelings, which is a lot of frustration. And there is an element there that I think maybe we didn't touch on a lot, but there is sort of a sacred cow thing where you've got these guys who've done amazing things at various points in their careers. Maybe they all just happen to have 2 bad games, and such is life. But it does feel a little bit like, I don't really want to criticize Tim Howard because he's been so important for the United States.
And then Lalas literally says the Belgian game was 3 years ago. We need you to make saves today.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, like Michael Bradley, it's good
Speaking
that you're
for Colorado
but
fans,
I need you to win the ball. And then Wonder Boy, that was an interesting one. Yeah. That was an interesting one.
So I don't know. So we love Alexi Lalas on the Total Soccer. He's been very kind to us over the years. I like his opinions a lot, but I think there's part of this is very sort of performative, maybe of being sort of like. Let's more like, how Jurgen Klinsmann used to talk about how there needs to be more pressure on US players. I feel like Lalas is trying to drive the conversation and put pressure on the current US team in front of national media. You know what I'm saying?
But I would also say I feel like that is probably his genuine opinion.
Oh, okay,
so that there wasn't enough heart, there wasn't enough fight, there wasn't enough effort. I mean, that is what I felt with that team. Is that's always been the hallmark of the United States. It was not in those 2 games.
Yeah.
And I think the part that really stood out for me, and the part that made me feel like it was genuine, is basically. And I'm going to paraphrase here, so I apologize, but it was essentially you all have it better than any other generation has it, and you are spoiling it.
That resonated with me because Alexi Lalas is from that 90s generation that sort of put up with some very bad travel situations and really had to rough it to go and play for the United States.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. There are so many stories that you could look up or listen to interviews with him where they're kind of hilarious and also kind of tragic all at once.
Yeah.
And so I think his point is you have this opportunity, you have the United States is more into soccer than it's ever been. You've got sponsorship deals, you've got all this stuff that could happen for you and could help grow the game, and you're kind of potentially going to squander it if things don't get better.
Yeah.
So I think that resonated a lot to me, and I think that, so then it's to his credit that he's kind of using that spotlight that he has to call out people that probably deserve to be called out a little bit.
And I think I like the idea of a national culture where there's more pressure on US players and we're not so forgiving, but I also... I think I may be guilty of. My opinion has changed with a week away from the game of feeling like, man, Honduras is a tough place to go.
Yeah,
and I kind of feel bad for the guys doing it.
All right, that's fair. And if you're wondering why I began this by saying grumpy old man, but then thumbs up, it's because I think he ends the rant with "get off my lawn."
He does. So I love that touch of humor at the end, so it wasn't too sort of heavy.
Yes. Even though I forget who was in the booth with him.
I think it was Adrian Healy.
It was a lot of awkward silence is what it was. It was a lot of like kind of nodding along.
It's not going to be Adrian Healy on Fox Sports, is it? Who was it? Was it John Strong? I don't know who it was.
But whoever it was a lot of like awkward, like I don't want to commit to this, but I don't want to disagree with it.
Someone posted the gif of Mike Myers next to Kanye West.
Yeah. Second Kanye reference of the evening. This is a weird show. It's a weird show, but I'm cool with it.
But it did have an element of that, right? Like, oh dear.
Yes. Shall we move on to more MLS talk?
Yeah, how about thumbs up to Josie Altidore for a great weekend?
Yeah, very good weekend.
Here's what happened to Josmir Volmi Altidore this weekend. He scored 2 goals as Toronto FC won 4-0 against San Jose to pretty much, in Matt Doyle's words, pretty much we can declare them Supporter Shield winners, even if not mathematically, right? It also included one of those great Josie Altidore goals where he seems to hit it slow but in the corner as he's running at it from a weird angle. We watched this a couple of times trying to be like, what is the weird technique that only in the whole world Josie Altidore seems to possess to pull off this move?
It's like a shuffle punch. That's all I can say. It's like he doesn't quite get like a full wind up. It's this weird like little side poke that he uses.
So maybe that's the trick, is that it takes the goalkeeper by surprise because there's not like a big backlift or follow through. It's sort of like the keeper is surprised by the pace of the shot, and that's I think Altidore gets a lot of goals like that. It's really exciting.
I think you're absolutely right that I think a lot of times goalkeepers don't expect him to get that shot off. And I do think there's an element of he's a big guy, and I do wonder if players, I mean, obviously they're familiar with Josie Altidore at this point, but I do wonder if they don't expect him to be as kind of agile.
And the quickness of movement.
And able to just like, while running one way, get this little quick shot off. Because a lot of times, physics, objects that are in motion tend to stay in motion, and it's kind of difficult to slow them down to get a perfect shot off.
So the other reason his weekend was amazing is, most people will know this by now, but his girlfriend, Sloane Stephens, tennis player, won the US Open, and it was kind of a huge shock, right? She's never won like a Grand Slam before, I don't think. So Altidore's weekend is a 4-0 win, 2 goals, and my girlfriend has a surprise win in the US Open.
And what was her, do you remember the giant amount of the check?
$3.7 million. There is a great bit of footage where they hand her the check after she's won the tournament, and she looks at it like, what? That's a lot of money. And my favourite thing about it is that it suggests to me that she didn't know what the prize money was. It suggests to me that she was only playing to win the tournament, which I absolutely love.
I do want to say I don't know much about tennis, so big old grain of salt there. Okay. But I'm going to guess that the players who either have the lucrative endorsement deals or win a lot are the ones who tend to make a lot of money, and I imagine that...
Of course, Federer can pick up a $3.7 million check and be just like, put it on the pile.
Yeah. But I imagine
put it on the file with all those expensive watches.
But people who don't win a lot and don't have those lucrative sponsorship deals probably don't make as much money. They certainly make a decent amount. They're professional athletes.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if there's an element of like she's going to go home this weekend and be like, hey, I'm buying dinner.
Well, there's definitely a thing now.
I'm buying a $1 million gold dinner.
I saw a few tweets with people referring to Josie Altidore as Sloane Stephens' boyfriend, which I think I'm on board with because she's won the US Open.
He scored 2 goals. She won the US Open.
He hasn't won the World Cup.
Nope.
So he's Sloane Stephens' boyfriend.
Yep. Yeah, I like that trend. Well, one thing I do not like is what Jermaine Jones did, which is why I'm giving him thumbs down. In that aforementioned game between Seattle and LA, which finished 1-1, Jermaine Jones, I'm going to say dove?
He dove.
It's still difficult to figure out what happened. Yeah, but Torres gets a red card. Seattle defender, Panama defender gets a red card for nothing, as far as I could tell. We watched this. I mean, it's basically Jermaine Jones is dribbling. Roman Torres goes to kind of cut him off. I didn't see any contact. I didn't see any feet getting tangled. I didn't see any really grabbing from Torres. Even to the extent that I would say that I didn't even see them make contact. But Jermaine Jones goes down, and definitely goes down in a dramatic way.
So there is a chance, I should say as a caveat, there's a chance that there's like a reverse angle of this, where we see Torres do something that takes Jones down, and the referee also saw that. But there's an equal chance that nothing happened and Jones just went down, simulated, got Torres sent off.
No, I actually think what happens is Jones realizes that he's not going to get around Torres, and he's taken a little bit too heavy of a touch. But Torres, because of that touch, tries to kind of come through and swing and clear the ball. But that touch has created enough room that Torres whiffs. And I think Jones spots that and recognizes that it will look, if he goes down, like he has just been cleared out by Torres. And that's exactly what happens.
But doesn't that, without attracting his ire, doesn't that speak to a guy who a year ago would have just tried to accelerate past Torres and get in on goal? Because this is towards the end of the game, as I understand it. So, I don't know. And a vintage Jermaine Jones would just take that ball in stride, try and go past him and finish.
It bummed me out. It bummed me out because coming out of
a man who was scared to hit the accelerator because he knows that there's nothing in the tank.
That could be, but it bummed me out because after that Honduras game, like I really did wonder, like maybe we need Jermaine Jones. Like that's what used to like run around and cause chaos and lock stuff down and create opportunities.
We need 2014 Jermaine Jones.
That's the problem. Yeah, exactly. And so then watching that, it was sort of like, oh right, that's where the situation is. Kind of a bummer.
Oh, well, happier things.
Make it happy, yeah.
Happier things happened in Atlanta. So the Mercedes-Benz Stadium opened this weekend. Thumbs up to, like, this is weird. I want to give a thumbs up to Atlanta's new stadium.
Sure.
But mostly for the people who were in it and the things that happened. 45,314 people is my guess. I just estimated from looking at the screen.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Definitely didn't look it up.
Good job by you. Yeah. Nice counting.
But the reason I love this is Atlanta do that sort of top tier, the top tier of the stand, because it's an NFL stadium as well, right? So this is the best I've ever seen an NFL and soccer stadium coexist. Fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
And with all due respect to Seattle, which it's a great atmosphere there, but the top tier, is that okay to say that? In Seattle, I believe they just put the tarp over it, right, with the sounders thing, which is a fine thing to do, but it's definitely like, you're not fooling anyone, right? Yeah. It's obvious that there is an extra level that's not full. Atlanta do this thing where like a fabric curtain drops down and screens off that top tier, keeps the sound in, which I think is important in a dome so it doesn't get echoey, but it also makes it look like a genuine, full-on soccer-specific stadium, even though it's like 50-50 soccer/football stadium.
Yeah, because it's also all color coordinated. So you've got the kind of like the red on the gold net, like on the nets themselves, and then it's the black with the Atlanta United on it.
Nets.
And it all just looks like it fits. And it's a really intimidating atmosphere. And it's a strange one, too, because I can't think of many, if any, soccer teams in Major League Soccer that have ever played like potentially in a dome. Because that roof opens and closes, retracts.
You mean the moon door?
Sure, there we go. So it is kind of crazy to think that they could play indoor if they need to. But then sometimes they won't, obviously. But
also thumbs up for Atlanta winning 3-0 in their new stadium. They beat FC Dallas 3-0. I had talked to Rob Usry, a couple of weeks ago now, and I was saying, like, I kind of believe in the new stadium curse, and it could be that they move in and suddenly the dimensions are all weird and Atlanta's form dips and maybe they don't make the playoffs. Not happening. No. It doesn't seem so.
No.
On a similar note, thumbs down for Walker Zimmerman and Matt Hedges for coughing up a goal to Atlanta at the very start of the second half to make it 2-0 and kill this game.
Like inside the first minute of the second half, right?
Inside the first 20 seconds.
There we go, yeah.
Zimmerman tries to... So he receives the ball from kickoff in the back, centre back. He tries to dribble forward. Really bad decision. He tries to accelerate away from, I believe it's Assad, and Assad pokes it. Atlanta quickly counter-attack, and very quickly Joseph Martinez, has the ball in the back of the net. 2-0 Atlanta. The pass goes through Matt Hedges' legs. He gets nutmegged.
It is, I'll say, like not necessarily his fault because that is one of those, like it's a 2v1. He's just sprinting across to try to cover, like to try to close off the angle. But then part of closing off the angle is not leaving it open so that you can be nutmegged.
Who does nutmeg? Is it Almiron? It may be Miguel Almiron.
I think it's Almiron,
yeah. Definitely tweet at us angrily, Atlanta fans, if it's not. We love when that happens.
We do. But congratulations to Atlanta. Big win.
Can I give an extra thumbs up to Joseph Martinez, that dummy for the third goal?
Not bad.
Where he lets it run across him. I always love a good dummy.
Gregory Garza. At the back post.
Gregory Garza.
Yep. He's in there.
So well done, Atlanta, but pick it up, FC Dallas defenders.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Any other MLS notes? Any other thumbs up, thumbs down from the weekend, Daryl Grove?
I'm looking around.
We've covered quite a bit.
Not from me. Oh, double thumbs up from me and from you.
Yep.
So 4 thumbs altogether. You're not doing it. Give me the thumbs up. Come on.
I refuse.
Come on.
It's spoken. It's verbal.
It's for Scott Zawadski. Scott Zawadski is a Richmond referee. You've heard him on the show before, like 2 or 3 times at this point. We're going to have him on again in the very near future. He, out of the kindness of his heart, refereed a game for us tonight to give our team some 11v11 experience going into our first league match this weekend. We wanted to give people the full field experience. Scott came out in his full referee gear.
He did.
And did it. Oh, Scott, you left your coin, the Richmond Kickers coin you have for kickoff. Left it behind. I've got it. I'll pass it on.
I still also have his heads and tails coin. I finally found it again. It's basically in the bottom of my bag, but I'm going to bring it in and leave it on this table. Are you supposed
to give that back? Or you?
No, he gave it to us,
okay.
but I've had it 4 games, like just in case, because I think like one time we had a ref who didn't have a quarter, and then also he just wanted us to have one because they're pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
But for all the times that you and I do drafts and we scramble to find something, I believe we flipped like a cell phone at one point, a box of chalk at one point, so we'll always have that coin.
Euro for some
we need
reason.
that. But I want to say this. The most interesting thing to me was, so Scott showed up in just like a normal, like I think just like an athletic shirt. And everybody sort of like said hello to him, and it was kind of like, oh, you know, pleasantries, like, oh yeah, I recognize him. And then he put on the referee, and everybody was like, whoa, there's a ref here. Like, it's an amazing thing to see the change. The people were like, I don't have my ID, I don't have my player pass. Can I play? It's like, yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. There's a psychology study of how people react to people in uniform. And it's literally, someone will say, can you pick up that trash on the street? And they'll be like,
aside from swooning?
This is this. So, like a regularly dressed person will ask another person, "Hey, can you pick up that trash like in the trash can there? Like, not that they dropped it, but like, you know, can you deal with this?" And they'll be like, "No," and they'll move on. Someone will come along in a uniform, like a total like made up uniform. It's not like an army uniform or police uniform. You're just like smartly dressed. They'll do it. Yeah, it's called someone will know. Someone will tweet at us again. I want to say Milgram. I don't know for sure, but there's
definitely not Milgram.
No, is Milgram the prison one?
Yeah, no, that's Zimbardo. It was Zimbardo. Yeah.
Oh, how do you know this stuff? Did you study this?
I majored in sociology.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't sociology, anthropology, and history.
Oh, all the re's.
Yeah, and also took psychology, which is where I learned that one, I believe. Yeah, Milgram is the there's a person telling you to electrocute somebody.
Yes,
see how long
that was horrible. Yeah, that was the worst.
It's not great. It's not great. And the answer is people do what they're told.
But there's an authority one as well. So anyway, I sidetracked us once again. But thank you to Scott Zawarski for coming out this week, which also leads me to say this is going to be the last Total Soccer show until Wednesday, right?
Yep.
Because we have our first CVSA game.
Yeah. How do we transition from men in uniform to this is our last game?
Because Scott was refereeing our team.
There we go. Okay, cool.
And our team has a big game Tuesday night. And also, I have some freelance deadlines, and you have some coaching. Yep. So we are basically fully booked for the next couple of days, which means it's going to be a long show. So I think you're covered for a while. For dog walking and jogging, you'll be good. The next Total Soccer show will be Wednesday. We'll review the Champions League. Because thumbs up for the return of the Champions League.
Yes. Yeah. It's exciting. Yep. It's very exciting. I'm excited as a Man United fan because they'll be there.
Who you got?
In that, I don't know who that game is, actually. I know who's in their group.
Is it FC Basel?
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Sounds good. It should work. Or Benfica or Spartak, I think, is the other one in there. Okay. So when I said I know who's in their group, I have a general idea of who's in their group.
Well, we're going to do probably a thumbs up, thumbs down type review of all the Champions League action on Wednesday, and we'll get that to you.
There we are.
Before we close out today's show,
we got some scouting.
The Total Soccer Show Scouting Network. How many reports we got today, Taylor?
We have several. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 reports. But we've already read one of them, so we have 8 to read today.
Okay.
You want to get us going, Daryl Grove?
Yeah, okay. First report is from Ira Jersey. Ira Jersey is scouting Ashley Sanchez, the 18-year-old American forward for UCLA. She's the next big thing.
And I'm going to interject to say I'm going to take this one because there's a reason why. The outside of Ashley's right foot picked up her first goal and 4th assist for UCLA in their 2-1 victory over number 8 ranked UVA. Ashley made a sweet run in behind to settle a chip and finish with the outside of her right foot. Later in the first half, she used the outside of her right foot to hit a one-touch pass that squeezed between the two UVA center backs for an assist. Ira says he can't really tell the formation they were playing, but Ashley seems to either be playing in a number 10 spot or a deeper lying center forward. In this match, she found space, made clever runs that her teammates were expecting, and UCLA at 7-0 seemed to be eyeing the national title. Or 7-0, 7-0, excuse me.
Yeah, because it was a 2-1 win.
That's a big difference. Big difference, yeah.
So Ashley Sanchez, if you're a US Women's National Team fan, she is worth keeping an eye on. That's a player who's going to be playing for the US Women's National Team one day if all goes to plan, as I understand it. She's like the next up-and-coming thing, right?
I believe so.
Craig Allison is scouting Jack Harrison, the 20-year-old English midfielder for NYCFC. This is before this weekend because NYCFC lost to Portland this weekend. But Jack scored the deciding goal in NYCFC's 1-0 victory over Sporting KC a few days ago. It was Jack's 9th goal of the season and his first since June 29th. Jack and his talent would be a welcome addition to the US men's national team. Unfortunately, he's about 5 years away from US eligibility.
So there's that. Jeff Markman scouting Reece Nelson, 17-year-old English midfielder for Arsenal. Jeff says, I would promise not to send a report every other day on Reece, but his recent form would make that a foolish promise. Reece followed up winning Premier League 2 Player of the Month by scoring a straight fire. That's the technical term, says Jeff. Free kick against Manchester United U23s, his 6th goal in 4 games. Arsenal won the match 2-0, and Jeff expects that Nelson will be involved in Arsenal's Europa League game next week, or there will be riots.
Didn't he say, as Kaiser Chiefs said, I predict a riot?
Yes.
You know that song?
Yes. It took me a minute to figure out why he had put Kaiser Chiefs in brackets. I was like, what? The club?
So I saw this goal. It is really quick thinking from Reece Nelson. So it's sort of the far left corner of the penalty area. United's under 23s have a 2-man wall, and there's that kid. It's not Dimitri Martin, it's Dimitri Mitchell, Dimitri Mitchell, is in the wall, and I think he
I wish it were Dimitri Martin.
For some, right? That would have been weird. Right? For some reason, he sort of opens up the wall a little bit and backs off. So Nelson sees that spot and fires the free kick in that spot. So just one little sort of one hole in the armour, and Reece Nelson bangs a free kick through it.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That'll work. All right. So, well done, Jeff. Well done, Reese.
Yep.
Daryl Grove, who's next?
Michael Heitman is sketching Junior Flores, the 21-year-old, still only 21, 21-year-old American midfielder for Borussia Dortmund.
He's been 21 for 6 years, I think.
Borussia Dortmund 2, if we're honest, right?
And even then.
Michael said, over the summer, Flores re-upped with Dortmund for another season. That was a surprise, right? Mm-hmm. As is tradition, he played during the pre-season friendlies, but a week before the season was to begin, he injured his hamstring. Second time in 7 months he's injured it. He's expected to be out until at least October. Dortmund made a lot of moves with the U23 squad this summer, and he hasn't actually played in a regular season game since May of 2016.
And again, that's with Dortmund too.
So there's a chance they figure out the squad in his absence.
Yes, so we shall see what happens in the next few months. Otherwise, Michael might be getting a new scout.
Yes.
Jace Carter scouting Gaston Pereiro, 22-year-old Uruguayan attacking midfielder for PSV.
Ooh, okay.
Gaston recently received his very first call-up to the Uruguayan national team for the recent World Cup qualifying matches against Argentina and Paraguay. Argentina. The selection was a little bit of a surprise to many, not because of Pereiro's talent, but because of how difficult it's been for younger players to break into the team. Uruguay's manager, Oscar Tabarez, has only used 28 total players in all of World Cup qualifying.
Wow, but one of them is Swerve Valverde.
There
so
it is.
Maybe he is giving some youth some chance.
Yep.
Gaston Pereira. Okay. Steve Renard.
Children are the future.
Steve Renard is scouting Yuri Tielemans, a Daryl favourite, 20-year-old Belgian midfielder for Monaco. Please don't have played in the 4-0 loss. Steve says, Tielemans was on the bench for Belgium's recent World Cup qualifiers, which went well, and was also on the bench for Monaco's 4-0 loss to Nice, which obviously did not go well.
Correct. Katie Sutton scouting Katie Cousins, 20-year-old American midfielder for Tennessee. Katie Cousins scored her first goal of the season in Tennessee's 3-1 victory over Virginia Tech. Ooh, bad weekend for the Virginias. Mm-hmm. Cousins also dominated the midfield and was noted by commentators as the team's emerging leader. University of Tennessee is now 8-0 for the first time in program history and enters SEC conference play next week.
I'm pretty sure Katie Cousins is from Richmond.
Sure.
I also may be wrong.
Speaking of that...
Oh, Patrick Snyder is scouting Nick Tatagui, the 18-year-old American winger for Schalke U19s.
We haven't talked about him in a while.
Well, me and Travis did.
Oh, okay.
Patrick says, Nick contributed to all 3 goals in a 3-1 win over second place Fortuna Dusseldorf. Oh, dear. He was also mentioned on the Top Draw soccer podcast with Darryl and Travis as a winger in the Pulisic mould. I bet Darryl doesn't read this before the report is read on it.
That's why I switched up the order real fast.
Did you write that? Did Patrick write that?
Oh, he absolutely wrote that.
Touche, Patrick. Touche.
So, with that in mind, thank you to Russell for the Eric Palmer Brown one earlier, Patrick, Katie, Steve, Jace, Michael, Jeff, Craig, and Ira.
You went backwards. You went reverse chronological.
You're right.
Love it, Taylor.
That's how I do it, baby.
Good stuff.
Keep on your toes.
Thank you to everybody who sent in
To be fair, I set you up on that one. Yeah, I figured if I gave you a little bit of rope there, you'd hang yourself.
Is that why you asked me?
That's why I switched it, yeah.
That's why you took the first one. You planned it all.
Sure did.
Oh,
not well enough to plan it out in advance, so that I had to switch it live.
You masterminded it. Okay, thank you to everybody who has signed up for the Total Soccer Show Scout Network. If you'd like to join in and support the show, it's totalsoccershow.com/join. Thank you to Bonfire for sponsoring today's show. We're so happy we got connected with Bonfire. It's bonfire.com/totalsoccer, or there's a link in the show notes. Get your t-shirt campaign going.
I'm still so happy about Patrick's scouting report. I'm just over here smiling.
So this has been a long show.
Sure
it's probably going to be about 90 minutes, like a full soccer match at this point.
I like that you say it's going to be about 90 minutes as though you're not looking at the clock right now. It's 1:21. Are you going to talk for 9 minutes?
Well, there'll be like some music or maybe some editing. You don't know, right?
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
See, so
I could probably talk for 9 minutes.
We will be back on Wednesday with our Champions League roundup.
So that's a no. That's a no then on the 9 minutes.
Hear from us for a couple of days. Anything to add, Taylor? You want to filibuster for a few minutes?
No, I think I'm good. Other than I am very excited for the Champions League to be back, and I'm excited to review it all. Are we going to do thumbs up, thumbs down, or are we just going to kind of see what happens?
Let's go thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay.
I kind of like it. Listeners, let us know. Do you like it? Do you not like it? I kind of like it.
European thumbs up, thumbs down? Is there a European equivalent? Do they do something differently? I don't know.
They do the exact same thing.
Okay. Then we're
good. They do it backwards in Rome.
Oh, no. That's too much. That's too much.
All right, Taylor, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again on Wednesday. You gotta slice it.